Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they also cater to vegans and vegetarians with the Ital stew and the Ital aki, the soul jerk salmon and mango tilapia. And of course, they got the usual curry goat, oxtail, brown stew chicken, jerk chicken, and so much more. I mean, their menu is extended and they're highly rated. Your best bet is to just stop by or give them a call. They're open Monday through Wednesday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Thursday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're located at 56 Main Street in Orange, New Jersey, and can be reached at 973-395-3777.
Okay, and then I need to check the sound. Sound check. I'm going.
Let your food be a medicine. Eat well, live longer. I'm David Shepard, and I endorse this commercial.
Yeah.
Eric Dawson. Mornings at 10 o'clock.
Hey, bro, you're doing a great job listening to you.
On 94.3.
All right, I'll just play it from here. I don't know why we can't.
Splash Radio 94.3. Ready.
Who is my guest?
Dance Hall. Soca. Hip Hop and R&B.
Have you come in?
African. Disco. Oldies but goodies.
Large upload boy, Mr. Look. Shut it. Yo, the best station on the planet.
Splash Radio 94.3 New Jersey.
Well, I don't know, so Mr. J represent for 94.3 FM Splash Radio. We just splash out the music on them.
Initialize sequence.
Is he coming in?
Ahem. Your attention, please. This is no ordinary show. Covering news and information for Essex County, New Jersey, and beyond. This is the Eric Dawson Radio Show. Broadcasting from 94.3 Splash Radio. Now, here's your host, giving it to you like only he can. It's Eric Dawson.
Man, it is Monday. This is Splash Radio. This is the Eric Dawson Radio Show, 94.3 FM. Call in number 973-457-8000. Again, it's 973-457-8000. If you're listening through your mobile device, it's 213-493-0287. And as always, we're streaming live on Facebook. And I gotta tell you, I'm here with it's Monday, so I'm here with Kevin Jenkins. And I got a surprise. Well, not a surprise to him, but a surprise to me because my scheduler didn't give me the information. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Antonio Gary. I'm the fire chief in the township of Irvington, New Jersey.
So the fire chief of the township of Irvington we have
correct.
In the house today.
All right.
So what's going on, man?
Oh, not much. I'm excited to be here. This is,
Oh, wait, so you're my nephew. So you're my nephew's boss.
Well, it depends on who your nephew is. Most people get township fire departments confused. Your nephew's in Irvington?
Yeah, he's in Irvington.
Oh, okay. Yes. Then I'm sure.
Then you're probably his boss.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, cool
absolutely.
beans, man. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So what's going on in Irvington? I mean, talk to us. I mean, one of the things that I talked to the mayor about was an opportunity to have you guys come in. Anybody that he wanted to come in to be able to kind of highlight the work that you guys are doing in the community, and as well as some of the challenges that you guys might want to talk about you're facing, just to give a real perspective to the listeners.
Well, first, let me give you a brief synopsis of what we do, because sometimes people get confused with the fire department. Fire department, our primary goal is life safety, incident stabilization, and property conservation. So with that being said, we're very in tune with the community. We try to have community relations. We're also involved in educating the community. with the education, we like to have an informed community. An informed community pretty much minimizes our workload, and it also makes us prepared to deal with various emergency situations. So yeah, man, that's pretty much what the fire department does with regard to non-emergency stuff as well as emergency stuff.
And so when you talk about informing the community, what are the things that you want to inform them most about that would make your job easy?
Primarily, we want to make sure that everybody is taken care of, whether we're talking about older adults or younger adults, or I'm sorry, younger individuals. So we try to teach fire education, fire prevention primarily, because if we can stop the problem before it occurs, then there's no need for us to come out. So we do things like that. Additionally, we recognize, we're realists that things are going to happen. So we try to teach CPR. Typically when, people are taught CPR, they're like, oh, we're not going to do CPR on people that we don't know. Statistically, it's usually somebody that you know, whether it's an aunt or some other family member. So it's important for us to have an informed community.
So when you talk about prevention and those kinds of things, I mean, one of the things that I think about is, especially now that summer's approaching, right? Folks are talking about cooking out and things like that. What are the things that they should be looking out for?
Well, the biggest thing when you talk about cooking out, and the summertime is here, so as you know, everyone likes to barbecue. The first thing that we'll always tell people is do not put the barbecue pit against the house. That's the sure way of engulfing your house in fire. So we want to make sure that we pull the barbecue pits away from the house. Additionally, we want to do inspections on it. We want to make sure that the connections to the propane, if you're using propane, is correct.
So now you guys will come out and do the inspection on the propane, or would they bring it to the firehouse for you guys to do that?
Well, I mean, we're community oriented. I mean, it's a lot of people in the township. As you know, we have 54,000. So I can't say that we could go to each and every house. However, if you bring it to us, we'll definitely look at the bottle, see if the hydrostatic test has been done, and if the container is compliant. And we'll also, do as much as we can to ensure safety.
Because I'll tell you, that goes up really, really quickly, man. A couple of years ago at my dad's house, we had a dinner, and everybody was inside cooking. It just so happened that I came by the time I did, and my brother said, hey, Eric, can you go outside and check the turkey out on the man, I went out there, it was a 6-foot flame.
Yeah. Typically what happens with the turkey fries, everybody, turkey is so good, but nobody takes the time to really know how to do a turkey. If you have any moisture in there, you drop that into that oil, it's going to kick up.
Well, you can tell he's doing turkey. You make turkey.
What time is dinner, man?
We can make that happen.
Let me ask you a question,
yes,
if you don't mind. How many years you been on in the fire department?
I've been with the Township of Irvington for 21 years, but I've been a firefighter for over 25.
Oh, so you moved up through the ranks.
Yes, I climbed the ranks. I was the first of 2 Afro-Americans to become lieutenants, first captain, first deputy, and here I sit with you today as the first and only African-American chief for the township.
Wow, we got history in the room. Let me ask you another question. When you were on the police force, fire department,
we're one of the same.
They're joining everybody together now.
Under public safety.
Excuse me, I've been away for a while. But how many African-Americans were in the fire department at that time?
During my initial stages.
Yeah, initial stages.
As you know, the fire department has always been predominantly Irish and Italian.
Absolutely.
Of that type of descent. So when I got into the department, it's funny you asked that because my cousin was the second of 2 Afro-American firefighters for the township.
Oh, wow.
So when I got on...
So your family's been in Irvington forever, obviously.
Well, yes. I mean, I'm not originally from Irvington. When I... got married, that was my first apartment. I moved to Irvington.
Great.
Yeah. So to answer your question, maybe 20 out of 138 at that time.
20 out of 130.
That's correct.
Now, how many African American? I'm just saying African American for now. How many African American young men and women do you have working for the fire department now?
Well, when you look at minorities, which I think is what you're asking.
No, I'm asking African American.
Okay.
I'm not asking minorities. Just keep it clean,
I understand.
I ain't trying to be politically correct here. How many African Americans?
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
I know.
But our department right now is 107, and I would say out of 107, we have 1 female. She's Hispanic, and we have about 35 Afro Americans.
Oh.
So we still, you still have some numbers that are,
And why do you think? Why do you think that's the case? You think because of recruitment? You think that a lot of young men can't pass the fire exam? I'm finding out a lot of young men that go and try to at least become police officers, for a number of reasons, they don't get to the final step. You might have someone that's researching this, so they might have a gang sign. Well, everybody in America has tattoos now, so I don't know how you qualify that. I don't know the science behind that. And then some people, when they're doing the same thing with the fire department, they'll get bumped off. So the people that have been in the fire departments, the white community or the Irish community that have been in the fire departments, they get to move their sons up, while our sons don't get moved up. Well, there's a lot of trickery involved. I've been in government for years. I'm not in government anymore, so I know the game. But I'm just saying, from a leadership perspective, what can you think can be done about that?
From my perspective,
those are great honored positions to be a fireman.
They really are. I mean, in this day and age, with we have more than ever younger youths graduating college and aren't able to find degrees. So with that, we're finding under my tenure that we're getting a lot of college educated kids.
Really?
So back to the question that you asked, why are the numbers so different even in this day and age? I can't attribute it to recruitment, because we have a recruitment drive. We partner with the Vulcan Society of Newark. We allow people to go through their test course so that we can prep them. But, I mean, socioeconomically, you realize that, our kids aren't able to volunteer at fire stations because our community just doesn't really have volunteer stations, such as if you were going to more of the affluent areas.
Oh, I see.
So the base knowledge...
So they would get trained being a volunteer. That would be their step into the process.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And you figure in other communities,
aware of that.
it's like...
So is that volunteering required? Is it a requirement?
No, it's a great tool to learn the business, right?
It's a great tool to learn the business, and once you get on a job, if you have that foundation already set, then that just makes you that much better at the job. But in terms of the recruitment, we do the recruitment. The civil service process is what it is. You got to go through the written and the physical.
Absolutely.
But what we're finding is that even when we do everything on our end, when you look at the inner cities, we're having problems with people being able to clear the background checks.
Yeah, but that's the one. That's one of the issues I have. So here's the issue. So if you've not been in trouble for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 4 years, there's got to be a threshold, right? I just heard a story from a guy that had been in trouble 30 years ago.
Okay.
Guy's never been in trouble for 30 years, right? And he's still appealing a serious charge that he had because he's still fighting it.
Okay.
And guy's raising his family, beautiful child. Every time he goes and gets a job, he can't get hired because of that.
Yes.
So, I mean, we should have a threshold on that. We should say, listen, if you haven't been in trouble in 5 years, we should not account for that. And that stops a lot. But then I find out there's a lot of white counterparts, their kids, right? They get around that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak on whether they get around it.
I'm not saying you. I've been in government. I'm just saying. I know how that's done. I'm saying you're doing. I mean, I know you're doing a fantastic job. I'm just saying some of the dynamics.
Well, it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is frustrating,
because
right?
We're trying to. The way civil service is based, it's really, we have residency requirements. So we're trying to recruit our residents. I mean, after all, the taxpayers are paying the salaries, so why not get the kids from the community?
Yeah.
So.
Now, what are the residency requirements?
Well, you have to live in town. You cannot break residency once you apply for the job until you finish the process and you get hired. After you get hired, you have to live in town for a minimum of a year. I mean, there's some legislation out there where they're trying to get it passed where you have to live in a town for 2 to 3 years, but it's really not.
That's
moving.
not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not moving. So essentially,
the
1 year.
Unions will never let that happen.
Exactly, 1 year, and then you can move wherever you like. But I mean, it's interesting, but where that has to be addressed is on the state level, because we're under civil service, and they set the rules and regulations for what the hiring is, how long you have to live in town, those sort of things. So even though we can pass local ordinances, it won't supersede.
Yeah, you absolutely.
It won't supersede.
And that's where the state legislators should be doing, just like they did the ban the box, just like they did bail reform. There was a bipartisan. Because a lot of white kids now are going to be impacted because they were locked up for drug use, and their careers are going to be over. So it might be an opportunity now for us to try to change that law. I mean, by using that. I mean, look, opiates now. I mean, drug use now was criminalized when we were engaged in it. Now it's it's decriminalized, and now we're saying we got to save all mankind. So I think that's very interesting how we're buying into that. But it's an opportunity for the African American legislators to say, listen, we're going to have a bigger issue, and your kids are going to be impacted. Let's change that.
Well, that's where stations like this and other people involved in politics, there has to be a push to try to get some of these things changed.
The thing that I find interesting, I've been doing this show. I think this will be. I'm coming up on a year with Eric, right?
Okay.
And I've been enjoying this. And we've done some very interesting shows, very provocative, very informed, geopolitics, local politics, street politics, business, corporate. I mean, we just cover so many things. But Irvington have a substantial budget to deal with that?
Well, from a fire perspective, no. To answer your question, no, we don't. But we work in partnership with the various departments, like housing or whatever.
Right.
So, for instance, with vacants, specifically on the fire department side, we do vacant building surveys. We go in, we mark them up, and we determine whether or not we could what type of firefighting we could do in these type of buildings. We also go around and we update the list so that we could determine what's bank-owned, what's not, and try to push with the housing department to get the lawns.
So you work in conjunction. You work in conjunction with your housing development department.
Oh, absolutely. All the departments are intertwined, but we specifically have a great relationship with those departments because whether we like it or not, from my profession, we're the ones going in these buildings.
Do you sit in? Are you involved with your police department when you're engaged in CompStat? Do you do your own CompStat?
Well, we're working on developing a fire CompStat. It's funny you say that because Chicago has it, and we're probably going to model it after that.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. That's cool. That's great. So you'll probably be the first fire department in Essex County that has have developed a CompStat footprint, right?
Absolutely.
A strategy, I should say.
A strategy.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. What's your average budget?
Well, last year we were at 12.69, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, as you know, everything goes up. So, on average, we've been around 12.6. I think 2 years ago we were down to 10. But salaries go up. The price or the cost of equipment, and things of that sort. And and then the other thing is we are in the process of updating our fire apparatus.
Oh, really?
And as you know, those are large item expenses.
Are you technology wise, or do you have a budget to expand your technology footprint?
We do have it's funny you say that because we just instituted under my watch an IT department.
Really?
So right now we're in the process of merging our computer systems with the police computer system so that we can have servers and everything else. We're trying to go green. Right now we're still passing paper out. We want to get away from that because we're conscious about
so you've been following the Paris Accord stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So your greenhouse emissions.
Well, we're trying.
So you're talking about a paperless municipality, right?
Correct.
That's good.
But I mean, you got to start small. So we want to start with the fire department and try to bring them up to speed.
So on your administrative side, so you talked about college students earlier, right? On your administrative side, are you recruiting college graduates to come in and help you in those areas of IT, help you in those areas of sustainability, green sustainability, help you because that's an economic impact for you.
No, absolutely.
You can make a ton of money for your fire department if you have the right green strategy.
Well, we have. I mean, one of our councilwoman Councilwoman Shana Frederick. She's real involved in the green initiative, so she has all the stuff that she works with us. I mean, something as simple as a recycling campaign.
Absolutely.
We're doing that in Firehouse. We're in the process of, putting that out.
And the New York Times, you should go get it and go online and look at it. I thought I brought it with me. I should have shared it with you.
Okay.
But they have a major article on where New York is going.
Okay.
And you should read it. I mean, I think you can, from a broader strategy with your municipality and your mayor and your other directors, it can have a real big, huge return.
Which are the
It's in the New York Times. It's in the New York Times this weekend, Sunday.
I'll definitely make
As
sure
a matter of fact,
before
you go, I'll try to push it up and give it to you. But you should look at that. I mean, there's a lot of, it's different than what you're talking about, but it can be very helpful from your sanitation department, your fire department, your municipal government. You can create income stream for yourself that's enormous.
Sure, we could tweak it to what our needs are.
Yeah, and I think your department probably would be better to do that anyway. Not the police department, but your department would be better. That's great stuff, man.
You're doing great work, man.
I like Irvington.
You know what? The more but I'm telling you, man, the more we have you guys in here, the more we see the cohesiveness between you, the administration, the community. It just is growing and building to be more of a community.
It's very competent. You have a very competent team. trained. I
Yeah.
can see that. Very competent. I like that. And you're government professionals.
Well, I mean, we're trying. You know, of course, you got to get buy-in from the employees, and we're getting that. You know.
Looks like you got good morale.
Well, listen. I was talking to a gentleman just the other day. He's been in prison for 38 years.
Right.
All right, and we were talking about the weather, and I said, "Oh man, you know, it's a beautiful day." And you know, he was like, "Yeah, people complain about days. I've been in prison for 38 years, and they were complaining about it was raining and everything else." Listen,
Right. You said, "Look, I'll take the rain any day."
My thing is this: you can't. It's easy to be negative. Negativity is easy. But I think it's also unhealthy for you. It doesn't do anything good. You take what's given to you, make the best of it, and you just try to do the right thing and move things forward.
What church do you go to?
I'm actually a member of Christ Church. We're having, by the way, being a jazz staff.
I can tell. Look, he's
listen, God,
he's coming off the Sunday. I know. Listen,
God.
I respect that, and I can tell from your spirit that you mean everything you say. I
absolutely.
get that. You're not some person that's here bull crapping us.
Listen, I'm truly blessed. I've been through so many obstacles, and I've worked hard, and I'm here.
That's excellent.
You know, so
That's
I mean,
excellent.
God is really good. But Christ Church in Montclair.
Montclair.
Yeah.
Christ Church in Montclair. I'm familiar
Yes.
with that. I'm familiar with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the accomplishments that we've done
Yeah,
so far.
hey, man,
do your
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
man.
Listen,
I don't want to
Hey,
brag.
look, you passed the test now.
Well, yeah,
You know, if you wouldn't have passed the test, we'd have been looking at them like,
we'd have gone to commercial break.
man, like, come on, man, let's move on now. Go ahead, buddy.
All right, so I got appointed chief of department, July. So we haven't even been in there a year. Since then, we did 14 hires. We purchased a new fire truck. We're on the process of closing on a fire or aerial truck as well. We did an engine and we're doing a truck. All right. We've established internal affairs. What that is we're holding our employees to a standard, professional conduct or whatever. So if somebody comes in to make a complaint, we want to make sure that the complaint is addressed. So we have an internal affairs component, which is under the umbrella of the public safety. All right, we have new equipment that we purchased, such as extrication tools, which are great. They're like the Cadillac of extrication tools. And if you don't know what those are, that's when you're cutting people out of cars.
Right. The jaws of life?
The jaws of life,
Here we go.
exactly. We have new saws that we bought, for when we're cutting the roofs. Just all types of...
So your mayor is allowing his departments to grow efficiently and effectively, and you have a plan.
Absolutely.
And based on your recruitment, based on your operations, based on... That's pretty impressive. That's
Absolutely.
good.
Absolutely.
So he's pro fire department.
He's pro fire. He's pro public safety. I mean, if you think about it, clean and safe is his motto. He wants clean streets and he wants them safe. So that falls underneath.
You need to take a message back to your mayor.
What's that?
Tell him that he needs to get all of his directors, and he needs to get a marketing company. He needs to promote Irvington on the Move.
Oh, that would be
and
good.
he needs to do that immediately because this is all being overshadowed by political minutia.
Yes.
And I think what he's doing in Irvington and transforming that city is no different than when people give credit to Joe D for the parks. Right? I think he's done a great job.
Yes.
He's the Olmsted of his time for
Correct.
parks. But I mean, what Mayor Voss is doing is he's actually energizing the growth of that city, and he should get the credit. But your marketing wise, I'm quite sure you do a lot of stuff. I don't see it, but he should do something to promote Irvington a little better.
I think,
because everybody that I've seen thus far and talked to in Irvington professionally. They're pretty solid people.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm 3 administrations into the township, and I've never seen relationships with other municipalities as tight as they are now.
I like that. I like that.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you guys are on the move, though.
Yeah.
I mean, let me ask you a question. So, what is the morale in your fire department?
Well, change is difficult, so the morale is...
Change for the better.
I love his answer.
Change for the better.
Change for the... When you're accustomed to doing something for 60 or 70 years, and change comes. Change is difficult for people to accept. As grown-ups, we're resistant. All right.
Yeah, I know.
Now I'm well aware of good change and bad change,
Yeah,
but you got to give change a chance in order to determine, where it's at. So the morale right now, we have some ups and we have some lows, but I'm optimistic, and I think that if we stay concentrating on what the vision and where we're trying to go, I think we'll be fine.
Well, that's great. Look, change is, but you got some good stuff going on. I'm very impressed, man. That's good. You got any women in your leadership, man?
Well, we only have 1 female in the department. Way back when we had the first African American firefighter in the state of New Jersey. She used to work for the post office. Then she came over, and you know,
you gotta get some more sisters.
Yeah, well,
I'm pro sisters.
Yeah.
I am. I'm pro sisters. I'm telling you right now.
African-American?
No, she's Hispanic.
Wait, fine.
Yeah,
Well,
she's
you know,
Hispanic.
you need to pay special attention to her. She needs to be moving up.
We're starting to see people actually take the test. You know,
Okay. That's
yeah.
cool.
So we're starting to see that. So there should be an insurgence of more women.
And all of those women you have on the council in Irvington, I know some of them nice people.
Yeah.
They should be working on They should do a recruitment program to get women to join the fire department.
But that could be part of the whole marketing thing.
Well, and again, it's part of our recruitment package. We don't discriminate. We welcome everyone, you know. But, you know, there's a whole other set of variables with, you know, the test being difficult, physical performance portion. But that's been changed to try to incorporate everybody. So I see progress.
Excellent. What other accomplishments do you?
Well, as far as accomplishments, I mean, that's pretty much all we got.
Okay.
The big thing is, you know, the purchase of the fire apparatus, because we have an old fleet, and just getting the new tools, you know. You know, some of the things that I wanted to talk about was how the residents get involved in the fire department.
Okay.
In addition to, you know, the fire prevention stuff.
Right.
You know, we have a Citizen Emergency Response Team under our Office of Emergency Management. These are residents, part of our CERT team. You know, we have tools and equipment. That's one way that they could get involved. It's a beautiful thing. Additionally, something that I'm really excited about, we partner with the Irvington Board of Ed.
Oh, wow.
All right. I know that another department is doing the same thing, where we're looking to get credits for high school kids so that we could acclimate them to the fire department. I'm also working with the civil service so we can try to see if we can get them some points if they're residents.
It's like a fire ROTC,
Correct.
right?
So they're going to get the credits from school,
Oh.
and they're going to also hopefully get some points. And if they decide that they want to become a firefighter, then they'll, you know, take the test. But our goal is to take them from the 11th grade and bring them all the way up, you know, to see
that's
whether
close.
or not it works.
I like that.
Some other things that the residents could do, I always say adopt a hydrant. Whether the hydrant is in front of your house or not, you know, listen, we go out, we shovel, we check them, we do everything. We do it twice a year, but if you see a hydrant knocked over or you see a problem is leaking, by all means call the fire department. We'll come out, we'll check it. Because that's our lifeline for extinguishing the fire, you know.
They're going to steal all your ideas. Everybody going to steal all your ideas.
Well,
I like it, though.
Listen, we're all in this together. So,
we are.
You know, and I have great relationships with the chiefs of the various municipalities.
Yeah, I bet you do.
You know?
Yeah, I bet you do.
A lot of people don't know it.
They got a new brother down in Newark, right?
I was going to tell you,
Sharp guy,
Rufus.
Yeah, I heard he was a sharp
You know,
guy.
we went to our certified public manager course together. We're certified to state. Great relationship with him. Andre Williams from East Orange. Great relationship with him. Al Spearman from Orange. Great relationship with him. It's unheard of. 4 black chiefs. Unheard
you don't
of.
have to tell me. I know. You don't have to tell me. I know. It's
Right,
and you guys are doing
busiest,
good.
Yeah, the busiest towns.
And you're doing good work. You're doing good work.
Yeah, so
Doing fantastic work, man.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I wish you guys a safe summer. Adopt the fire hydrant, guys.
Absolutely.
Now, do they officially adopt one, or is it just a symbolic thing?
It's a symbolic thing. Just essentially, it falls down to having pride of your property and ownership, and understand the importance of this device. You know, and then in the summertime, this is when we have huge problems. But we've tried to address it with the water company. We're putting magnetic tops on it so that you can't crack the hydrants open, because when you waste it on that water, it drops everybody's pressure.
Yeah.
Now, when we were kids, they used to have the little
sprinkler cap.
The sprinkler cap.
Well, we
No
do.
more?
No, we still have that, and we have an agreement with American Water, which is the servicing agent for the
American
township.
Water.
We have 5 locations so that we could sort of kind of try to minimize that loss and not, you know, impact the residents too much,
Right.
so that kids could go and play in the water. Because as you know, we only have one pool in town, and some people can't get to the pool, so we're cognizant of that.
Hey, listen, man, this has been great.
This has been great.
Oh, I appreciate it.
You guys are sharp,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
man.
No, man, I had a cold for
Oh, okay,
you.
okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
So I
we don't
won't do
want
that
that.
to you.
He's still
I
semi-quarantined.
appreciate
I won't do that to
man.
you. See, that somebody did that to me.
Oh, you don't want to do the same
It's
thing.
that- yeah,
All right.
you know.
Well,
So-
again, I appreciate you having
You guys
having
are
myself
sharp.
in.
It's a pleasure, man.
I appreciate it. I'm Fire Chief Antonio Gary. Everybody have a blessed day.
Mr.
All
Gary.
right, beautiful. Thank you. So now we're going to bring on our other
Yes.
Irvington guest,
Gina,
Gina.
our friend. Oh, that's where I got it. Oops.
I'm sorry.
Oops.
Right here.
Oops. There you go.
All right, thank you, brother.
That's okay. We'll fix the current title stuff. Don't worry about that. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, guys?
Nope, I hear you.
Up. Something's wrong. Hold on.
Are you good?
Yeah, I can hear me now. Yeah, thanks.
All right.
No problem.
So we're gonna get Gina. Gina, here's your headset.
Okay.
Give me that phone. Oh,
Sit is nice and cushy.
There we go. You can scoot up a little bit if you. All right.
All right.
So I'm going to try to quickly. Well, instead of me trying to read through this,
Yes.
why don't you introduce yourself?
Good day, everyone. My name is Jania Phillip, and I am the Director of the Department of Economic Development and Grants Oversight at the Township of Irvington.
The Director of Development and Grant Oversight.
Yes, Economic Development and Grants Oversight.
Okay. So talk to me about the innovative things that you're doing in your department.
My department was actually one of the biggest innovation is the creation of the department itself. Prior to Mayor Voss, we didn't have a Department of Economic Development, nor Grants Oversight. So it's a new department. It's a little over a year old. It was launched in March of last year. And the idea was to focus the redevelopment efforts and into one department, separate from community development and planning, to give it a more focused target in terms of dealing with redevelopment issues and dealing with larger economic and socioeconomic issues within the township. So under the auspices of this department, we're responsible for the vetting, selecting, and designation of redevelopers to work on redevelopment projects throughout the township, both residential and commercial. We're also responsible for workforce development, which is a component that was not really in existence previously, and we're also responsible for business services, providing services to not only grow our existing businesses, but to also recruit and increase businesses within the township of Irvington.
So what is your current plan to grow existing businesses and bring new businesses into Irvington?
One of the first things that we did was last year we launched a business services center where we provide one-on-one assistance to businesses who are looking to either establish or to have gain access to grants, gain access to financial support, financial resources, and we also held the first annual business summit, Mayor Tony Voss Business Summit, where we did a survey of all of the businesses in the township to see what it is that they would need support and information with, and then we had a summit to provide workshops and presentations on those topics. And it was very, very well received. We're doing it again this year at the end of the month. So it was one of those great initiatives that really brought the business community together, which in the past they've been pretty much diverse and spread out, not really coordinated and working together to achieve growth as a unit.
So when you did that, what were some of their issues? I mean, anytime you do a small business summit, they'll tell you what some of their issues are, or some of the things they would like to see the township doing. What was one of their issues, if any?
Well, the number one issues were actually formalizing themselves. We have a lot of mom and pop establishments, and they were not actually legally registered or legally formed, or it was either the owners who were doing it under their name as opposed to having a business name, creating an entity by filing a formation document with the state, getting an EIN so that they can file their taxes separately from their individual self. Social media, just learning how to use social media to actually advertise their businesses. And for nonprofits, their main thing was grant funding.
Who did that training for you? Who did that? Who came in and did that for you?
We had numerous people within the community who were considered experts in those areas, and one of them was Patrick, who's one of our developers. He came in and he did the redevelopment workshop. I presented as a nonprofit expert because my past being the executive director of Newark Emergency Services for Families, executive director of the Workforce Investment Board in Newark. I was able to bring in a lot of those insights to teach the basics of grant writing and actually procuring of grants. Where do you find them? How do you find a niche within your particular area and the like? We also had Kelly Drakeford, who was then the regional SBA representative appointed by President Obama for that region. So the SBA came in and provided instruction on how to get support from the SBA, how to get loans from the SBA, how to partner with the SBA to participate in programs to grow their business.
Well, Gina, you've been around a long time. First of all, I know you. I think she's fantastic, and I'm glad you're in Irvington. They made the right decision to get you there. That's number one. Number two, you and I have floated all through this world on nonprofit development, redevelopment, economic development, housing development, workforce development. We've seen all of this stuff. We've seen some good models happen, but from a continuity perspective, it's always failed in some way. What do you think? What is the one thing that you think that you can? Because because you basically created a lab for those small businesses, correct? To come in and you probably helped them to build a structure for how their businesses should be running and all of that. Do you think they're buying into it? Do you think that they understand that if they do it that way, or if they go through your lab process? It's going to be ongoing, right? You're going to continue to keep doing this,
definitely.
Right? So what's the impact?
Well, can I, before you answer, when you brought them in,
because that's great,
how many folks did you involve that came in from the private sector to be able to help these businesses? Because what I find sometimes is when you have people in the political space, right, in the government space, trying to help businesses with marketing and business development and all of those other kinds of things, the skills are not always transferable. When you're dealing with somebody who's working in that private sector space, who understands apples to apples what the issues might be, they may be a little bit more helpful to them. Did you invite any folks from the private sector?
Yes,
to come in?
The SBA, which is a governmental entity, but it's pretty much functions as an independent private entity. We also had GNEC, which is an outfit in Newark that provides both capacity building training. They have continuous workshops all throughout the year, as well as some funding. In addition to, if they can't fund a particular business, then they link them to additional funding opportunities. So they came in to provide a lot of training in that sphere.
Well, the reason I asked my question is because there's been a reoccurring theme. We really do take good action, and we really try to work with our community, business community, our small business community, and I haven't seen anything in the last several years that said that we've moved off the dime, that something really is happening, that we're back to, because every time I'm talking in my community, it's about what we don't have and what we should be doing. But then from a leadership perspective, I know that you really understand this, so you look at it from a different perspective. So have you been using a lot of innovative tools or national models to push out some of your programs that you've been working on?
We're not using any national models, but it's basically it's pretty much focusing on going back to the basics.
Yeah, I got you.
Everything is a business.
I got you. Right.
Your life is a business. Your church is a business.
That's right. You're right.
So you just transfer those skills and attributes to a business, and you meet businesses where they are. A business may come to you and say, okay, well, I want to be a $1 million business, but they don't have a website. They don't even have business cards. They just open basics. Up a storefront. So you have to cater a plan and coach them to understand this is where you are, and then you do what you call as a strategic 5-year or whatever number of year plan to plan them up, so that they know year one, this is what you're going to focus on. And I've had successes with some of the businesses who, like for a nonprofit, for example, our Irvington Counseling Center, they didn't know that as a nonprofit, you could register to an organization called TechSoup and get very low price technology.
How many businesses are in, small and large, in Irvington right now?
Oh, and we have like 400 something churches alone. So in terms of businesses, we have 8,000 something registered. However, that's registered and not vetted and cleaned out. So we're in the process now of cleaning out our database and our records in terms
That's
of
great.
what we have as businesses, so that we know what the real numbers are and where the major industry sectors are. So that's one of the projects that we're working on, and we're whittling through all of those.
And what is the
areas.
capacity you have? Because you got 8,000 businesses.
Well, 8,000 on record.
On
but I'm
record,
certain
plus
that it's
it,
a lot
right.
less.
Right. But what capacity do you have to help the majority of those businesses?
We do have very limited capacity because we are a governmental entity, but what we do is work in partnership with other organizations such as GNEC, such as the Urban League for Nonprofits, such as
That's great.
the United Way, leveraging resources, because we know that we alone can't do
Those
it.
collaborations are important.
Collaborations
Yeah,
is where
we talked about this years ago. The funding models that these nonprofits were using to get money from the major foundations or corporate community no longer exist. So they have all of these intermediaries that will actually judge or do a metrics on your nonprofit. And you might not ever get any money waiting for those guys. So creating those collaborations are important. Let me ask you a question. What is the budget of your department?
My department.
It's just a very important department.
Yeah, I mean it's a very small department. The budget is.
So you're lean and mean and you're efficient.
For the operations, we're about $500,000. However, because we are part of grants oversight, we also house our HUD monies, our home and our CDBG funds.
Okay, cool.
And that budget is $1.2 million. So we're like about approximately.
So are you acting? So you're acting as an administrator of those funds? So you can take a fee for Is it? You could take a fee, right? That's good. But that's good use of funds.
We administer the funds to our nonprofits. We also administer the funds to our other departments, and we administer funds to support our redevelopment projects as well as our community development efforts.
You have a team. You have your high school. You have one high school, correct?
Yes,
in Irvington.
High.
And do you know? I mean, based on the workforce thing, do you know the unemployment rate of your teenagers or millennials that are coming out of high school?
I don't know for the millennials, but I know that ours is still like about 9 to 10%.
10%
in the township.
Right. And the only reason I brought that up because I liked what our fireman. What's your name again, sir?
Chief Gary.
Chief.
Chief Gary.
I know Chief Gary. I'm foggy. Chief Gary. But he talked about how he's working in the high school.
Yes.
I think that's fantastic, and he's preparing these students or putting them on a track to at least look at the fire department as an opportunity for them.
But we're also doing
great.
the program, and when I think he was referring to my department when he mentioned other department, he was stealing my thunder. But we're launching a program starting this September with the high school.
Oh, that's great.
Where we're going to be training. We're going to be training them within City Hall in public administration careers, administrative careers, managerial careers, and they'll get actual credits towards their high school degree.
Well, let me tell you why that's so important. Because we're watching right now where this is the greatest dumbing down of government professionals that I've ever seen in my whole career. I mean, we don't have quality government officials that understand how to make a municipal government run efficiently, understand the dynamics of dealing with your customer who's your constituent. The government business is a very important business. So you were in the private sector before, nonprofit sector before, and you were an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So you come with a whole host of a deeper understanding of how to activate those kinds of communities and getting them involved in developing their entrepreneurial skills, developing their sense of what government really does, building some civic pride for your community. And I've seen in the last 10 years, I mean, a big dumbing down. So when I see, the professionals that are coming in from Irvington, somebody's taking a lot of time and thinking about what kind of leadership that they want to see in Irvington, what kind of responsible leadership, and for you to go into those schools and do that, I think that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's very smart.
I benefited from, the reason why I thought the program would be important, because I benefited from a program like that when I went to high school.
Yeah,
where my
we
day,
all did, basically.
Yeah, was split in half. Like back when we were growing up, there were a lot more opportunities.
Right.
Our day was split in half, where we went to school in the morning, and in the afternoon portion, we went to work and we got paid or we got credits. So we learned,
we did
the value of working. We learned the value of being on a schedule and having a regimen, and we saw what were available in terms of employment opportunities and professions. Because unless you're in the environment, you're not going to really see it.
That's right. That's how you grow. Let me ask you, what law school did you go to?
University of Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Oh, you Pittsburgh. Okay.
That's right.
University of
Black
Pittsburgh.
and yellow.
Question being asked online is
Pittsburgh. Go ahead.
Question being asked online is, does Irvington have a Chamber of Commerce?
Yes, we do. Irvington has a Chamber of Commerce, and we also have 2 special improvement districts.
Oh, great.
Yes.
And that's pretty good. Are they? How old are they? Because you're big on special improvement districts.
The improvement districts, I'm not sure exactly, but I know from what I've seen, they're at least past 10 years old.
That's great.
And the Chamber of Commerce have been there for
Is it pretty active? Is it pretty active?
And we work with them
a
lot. Yeah, we do work with the Chamber of
and
Commerce.
Look, and the special improvement districts, if they have 2 special improvement districts, that means they're employing people.
Yes.
That's pretty good. I mean, is your special improvement district managed by an outfit outside of the city, or is it a company inside of the city that's managing it?
It's outside of the city, but it's in East Orange.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so it's in East Orange. So you have a professional outfit in Essex County?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because some of them actually have to go outside of the city for a certain period of time until you can build the right kind of infrastructure. But special improvement districts are great for cities like Irvington.
And we're in the fall we're going to be launching, because they fall under the auspices of business services. They are under the auspices of my department. We're going to be working with our businesses to our improvement district and our Chamber of Commerce to come up with a uniform canopy program.
Really, that'll transform your UEZ. Your UEZ, that's right. That's great. That's great. Your UEZ you had a very robust UEZ program in Irvington. You don't have it anymore?
Yes and no.
I know,
because
it's being defunded.
We were defunded, so
which is terrible. You see that? But you know the impact it has on an Irvington or a Newark or East Orange. Yeah. But just on the construction side. So just on the construction side. So if they were in the middle of an economic boom and building right now, I want to get to that. Now the people that are coming to do that in Irvington are not going to buy in Irvington. So they're going to go someplace else in another city and get that 3%, right? They're going to get that, and they'll bring the equipment and everything back. So just imagine if Irvington had that 3%, how much money they would be really creating for themselves, how it would stimulate the economy, because those construction companies or construction workers, they will be utilizing and getting that 3%. So I mean, when Newark lost his, and I'm sorry, but Irvington did, and Newark did. Newark always had a robust. It fell. It got horrible over the years because they started misusing the money. But that's way before any. This has been some years now. But the UEZ program was a great tool to stimulate your local economy. Yes. And I just hope that this new governor understands that Newark and Irvington and cities like that need that designation. And Irvington had a great manager. I forgot her name. It was pretty good. It was very robust.
Cassandra?
I think it might be, yeah, Cassandra. And then they had another one, the young lady in Elizabeth. Oh, man, it was robust UEZ program.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that is the case. I mean, we still have...
Again, state legislators should be working on that.
The money goes to the state now. Before, the money used to come back. So whenever the taxes are 7% and the 3.5... half of that will go to the state, and the other half will come back in a pot for the actual local municipality. Right. But the change in the law has removed the 3.5% that comes back, so that if you wanted to get access to any of the money, you have to go through the state, and you don't get it.
Yeah.
That
just keeps the city on the plantation, and it actually takes the money and put it back in the state general budget.
Exactly.
So they're never going to fix that budget. That budget, I mean, it's going to take 20 years to fix that. I mean, unless the new governor comes in and says we're going to raise taxes. But at the end of the day, cities, the cities are being impacted because the legislators at the state. I mean, I don't know everything that they do. I don't spend a lot of time at the state. Trenton is just a bad place, but they should be really sitting down with these local municipalities. I'm not talking about the mayors. I'm talking about the directors of the departments and talking about what they need. See, that's where you really get the right information from. You know, the mayor might say, oh, give me, or a mayor might say, well, I need to get this amount of money. But no, you might not need that kind of money. You might need to get access to this. You might need this legislation to be pushed away for us to be able to do a better job in programming.
So do you not have those kinds of conversations or those kinds of forums where you're able to express that?
Well, we do have a state UEZ coordinator. I'm the UEZ coordinator, even though the system as it was doesn't exist. Each municipality still have a UEZ coordinator to facilitate registration of their businesses with the state for the 3.5% tax benefit. But I mean, that's the real outlet that we do have. Is through our UEZ coordinator. The other vehicle that we use, but it creates another layer, is the Urban Mayors Association that's housed at Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison, right? Thomas Edison, yeah. And you guys have a great relationship with them, right? You guys have a great relationship with them, right? Yeah, I mean Gina's been out there for many, many years. I mean, as far as a professional government entrepreneur, I trust the fact that she's doing a great job up in Irvington. You know, it's very hard. It's very difficult to get government professionals now. We take that lightly. I mean, when you go into some of these departments and you start talking to their directors, you get nervous. You're like, well, where did you come from? Right. You know, you don't know anything about real property. You don't know anything about economic development, how to actually even read a capital stack for any kind of development deal. But your workforce development, tell us a little bit more about that, though. How is that working for you? Because I know that's a tough job.
Yeah, I mean that's always been, you know, one of my passions, because you really can't fix communities without fixing the socioeconomic of a community. And, you know, going back to my days of working at legal services and working, you know, at the WIB, that's one of the things that's integral. And right now, that's the area that I'm taking the most time to develop, because I understand how critical it is, because you're playing with actual people and training and growth.
Are you getting them jobs?
Well, that's the last piece that we're implementing. We've had one job fair so far for the hospital project, and we were able to get, I think, 11 or 12 people from that job fair out of about 65 who attended employed. One of the things that we're also doing is working with our contractor base, because we have a lot of residents in our township, to partner them, leveraging our resources, get them to work on our home rehab project program, so that we're getting those contractors who are not working or who do not have jobs working with our actual residents who we're providing funding for to rehab their houses. So in those ways, that's how we're leveraging what we have.
So you're doing some very small steps now. But let me just tell you about Irvington. Irvington has the ability to be the innovative city of this triangle of Irvington, East Orange, Newark. They really, if they really focused on it the right way, and I think that's what they're doing. They could really, on the green economy, they could be pioneers. Well, this is the thing. If they don't have a number of companies moving into Irvington, right, it's kind of difficult to stimulate at the level that we want them to. They have to generate. They have to create energy and bring more businesses into Irvington to get the opportunity to develop your workforce better. So between your schools, or between your relationship with the college, or between that strategy is very difficult to do. But if you do the micro and the macro, and you understand, like in a 5-year, 6-year plan, you can do that, because it's going to be a big plus for Irvington. But just on the green economy, if they just do some shifts, they can probably create another 1,000 jobs if they start to look at that as a new market for themselves. You know, because it's going to be difficult, because their footprint is so small. How do you bring some other major corporations or other businesses that's going to drive your local economy, that's going to create jobs? So on the small business side, they really got to focus. That's why we led with that first,
because your business is what hires.
Yeah, that's the small businesses drive your economy. Right.
Yeah, knowing who your businesses are help you to identify what workforce they actually need and where to place people.
So are you working with the high school in any way to create some sort of an internship program that can...
We're doing a work study. We're doing a work study with the high school students. Where we're going to be doing training on administrative, public administration, managerial type skills, teaching them, basic skills in just working in an office environment, because you'd be surprised how many people who are in a managerial position, in a political position,
Right.
who don't know how to send a proper email, can't write a proper sentence, can't answer the phone correctly, so those basic skills are very important in terms of giving somebody a foundation to spring off of to get up a higher position in life. So we're working with the schools right now. The program has already been approved by our township, as well as been approved by the school board. Next week I'll meet with our superintendent
Great.
to go over how the program is going to be built out. And we're going to start recruiting students before they leave, before the end of June, to participate in the program. And then we're going to...
I just want to say this one thing.
We're going to 11 o'clock break. Do you want to keep her on there?
Oh, yeah, you guys, I want to say a couple of, because I know what she's
we're going to go in 5
Right.
seconds.
Okay, great.
We'll be right back after this 11 o'clock break.
The current time.
Blast Radio 94.3. Reggae. Dance hall. Soca. Hip hop and R&B. African. Disco. Oldies but goodies.
Hi, this is Janet Jackson.
We're bridging the gap. Seriously. Splash Radio 94.3 New Jersey.
Hi, this is McCooman Moving, Boxtrap for rent for all your light moving needs. Anywhere within the Northeast Orange, Irvington Orange areas. $50 a trip from Monday through Thursday. $60 from Friday through Sunday. Call 862-279-9300. That's 862-279-9300.
Know what I am doing? Downloading the Western Union app. I need to send money to my auntie in Nigeria. Know what I am doing now? Checking today's exchange rate to Nigeria on the Western Union app. Now I'm sending my auntie money to help her with her groceries.
Download the Western Union app today. Use it to check today's exchange rate and send money to loved ones in Nigeria. Western Union, moving money for better.
Western Union makes money from currency exchange. Carefully compare fees and exchange rates, which may vary and are subject to change. NMLS number 906983.
For the most authentic Caribbean food in town, check out Sunsplash Caribbean Bakery and Restaurant. They got the natural organic juice bar that'll get your day started right. Like the Power Punch, the Fig Juice, the Mega Green, Roots like the Immortal and the Resurrection. And peep this, they have an extended bakery department that whips up my favorite, the hot Hardo bread. White or wheat, that's your choice.
If you're feeling hungry, just grab a bite. Jamaican patty, I tell our veggies. Mix the peanut with the caramel porridge.
Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they also cater to vegans and vegetarians with the Ital stew and the Ital aki, the soul jerk salmon and mango tilapia. And of course, they got the usual curry goat, oxtail, brown stew chicken, jerk chicken, and so much more. I mean, their menu is extended and they're highly rated. Your best bet is to just stop by or give them a call. They're open Monday through Wednesday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Thursday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're located at 56 Main Street in Orange, New Jersey, and can be reached at 973-395-3777.
These days are some hungry days. We need some more food up and we empty plate. Long time we there and we sit on our wait. Sunsplash restaurant I run the place. Everybody me say just want a taste, yeah.
Let your food be a medicine. Eat well, live longer. I'm David Shepard, and I endorse this commercial.
Yo, this is Splash Radio at the #1 radio station in Jersey. What of them?
Well, I don't know, so Mr. J represent for 94.3 FM Splash Radio. We just splash out the music on them.
So we're back. This is the Eric Dawson Radio Show. I'm here with Gina and Kevin Jenkins. And so, Gina, on the break we were talking about, or I said to you, or I offered my services, right? And then we were talking about some of the hurdles that small businesses face.
Oh, yeah.
And number one is customer service. But outside of that, It's whether or not it's the right business for the demographic.
Yes.
Right? And so there's some things that, you can't fit a circle into a square.
Exactly.
And sometimes when you're sitting and talking to these folks, they may have had a great business idea, but when you look at it, you realize that it really doesn't work for that thing. So to have those kind of conversations. But I was also saying to you, one of the people who I think is doing it really, really well in Irvington right now is the owner of IHOP on Springfield Avenue, Adina. I'll tell you, man.
I don't go that far. I own IHOP in Newark. I got my own IHOP.
Well, she's getting ready to buy that IHOP too. The one on Bergen Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, so she'll be.
She has one in Patterson as well.
But she's got. But I'll tell you, when she first opened it, because we had an office on Stuyvesant Avenue, we went literally on her a couple days after she opened it, and we waited probably 40 minutes to be served. And me as a marketing guy, as a business developer, I looked and said, "Oh my gosh, what's going on? What's happening with the service?" And my immediate thing is to call the owner over and express my concern, right? And I did, and she told me that they were working through some glitches, trying to get it right. She did all the right things as an owner. She said, "Please be patient. What can I get you while you wait?" All of those things that made me feel better. I went to the IHOP last Saturday. I had to wait 20 minutes, man. It was packed inside, a line outside.
That's great. I mean, she's cooking some good food and her service is good.
It's incredible.
Well,
the food business is hard.
As we were saying, in terms of businesses, it's the 3 P's, the 4 P's. Price, product, promotion, and place.
Right, absolutely.
If those 4 things don't align in businesses, from my back, I mean, I'm an attorney by trade, but I am educated and I have a bachelor's in business administration, and I've worked extensively in the business arena. None of those 4 things, if they don't align for a business, then chances of the business succeeding is slim to none. Your pricing has to be right for your market. You have to have adequate promotion to reach your demographics to get them into a purchase. You have to be in the right location. If you're not, for some businesses might do well in one location, and other business may not do well in another location.
I think out of all of the departments in Irvington, outside of fire and police, you have the most important department, and you need to have some more help to do what you're doing. I mean, on the it's about creating the right ecosystem for me. So I think that Irvington is doing a good job in doing that. So you're doing a great job, Gina.
Thank you.
I like that.
So what's this question? Do you
work with businesses, educating them on the importance of sustainability and the grants available to promote energy efficiency? We do work with businesses right now on the issue of sustainability and grants and appropriate budgeting, financing, and management and the like. Working with, we do have a very strong green initiative within the township, and we're working currently, as you mentioned, with Councilwoman Frederick to merge our training in those arenas with the jobs that are available in the energy efficiency arena.
How much? What's the land mass? I don't know. You might not know this. I don't know the land mass of Newark. I can't remember anymore. But what's the land mass in Irvington? For instance, do you have any land that's available in your commercial footprint that you can look at doing something more innovative in that area? How much? Do you have a lot of? Is it small? I mean,
yeah, we don't have a lot of open land. The largest area of land that we have that is available and not available at the same time is in our East Ward, where the School Redevelopment Authority at one time
they cleared up all that land.
Exactly. So we do have that massive land.
Is that coming back to you now, right?
Where we are working, we have been in discussions with them of late to try to get a redevelopment project in that area. The only issue is it has to have a school because they do own it.
So they have so first of all, but they're not going to build another school.
No,
they're not building another school. So they have a covenant on the property. They have to build another school, correct?
But they will not release the land for us to redevelop.
But that's ridiculous.
Unless a school is attached.
But that's another thing that
the redevelopment.
That's another thing that the state legislators have to really get down and dirty and get that. That's impacting your growth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that. You're not going to build. How many more schools are you going to build in Irvington? If anything, you turn Irvington, you expand Irvington High, and you take another 2 or 3 public schools and make them regional public schools, so you can maximize some efficiency for yourself, and then take that property and build some economic opportunity for you.
I mean, the alternative is to do a vocational school.
Which is absolutely
which we don't have
critical.
One. All of the vocational schools are in Newark and the other neighboring municipalities, so that does provide an opportunity to do it in that space.
Well, vocational is really interesting. I brought this today. We've been talking about this on the show about re-engineering our public schools, about the importance of vocational education, and we were talking about models that are happening all around the country. In particular, what's happening in Germany. I mean, what they're doing with their vocational ecosystem for young people is just phenomenal. It's a great model, a great international model, and other countries are doing it too. But in New Jersey Biz this weekend, it says stakes couldn't be higher. It's time to let education innovation opportunities thrive, right? It says some 40 years ago, a nation at risk called the American public to arms, impressing on them the urgent need to refocus on robust education for our nation's youth. Right? Nearly half a century later, we have forgotten this impactful message. We forgot it produced a generational commitment to education reform that endured. So when you talk about small business, when you talk about your public schools, when you talk about recruitment, when you talk about, an empowered community, you have to start with your educational, system first.
So then why wouldn't a vocational school
that would work there, vocational, if it's vocational.
Right.
Yeah, if it's vocational.
I think that's a great idea.
Definitely, but then you have to find the developer to come in to build, and we have been in talks with some developers to come in and do that, and then it has to be something that's approved.
Well, the sign,
that's something that we're definitely looking into.
Yeah. You were talking about developers again during the break, and you were saying that Adina is one of your big developers in Irvington. What's she got going on?
Who?
Adina. The one who was IHOP.
The IHOP lady who's getting ready to buy the IHOP on Bergen Street that you go to.
Everybody at home, I've been in the bed for the last 6 days. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm like, who?
She's also working on too. I mean, Adina is one of the developers that you love, and I have a handful of developers. I mean, there's an urgency to build, but I think we need to build responsibly.
Absolutely.
And we need to, it's another project. A developer might come in and say, well, they want to do this, and I'm looking at their experience. I was like, yeah, but your experience in that, maybe you should partner with somebody who has this experience if you want to transcend. But I don't think Irvington is in a position, or any urban municipality, to take the risk with development that we have been doing in the past that resulted in projects.
Well, you don't have a lot of state funding anymore. ERG just got reissued. It's about $836 million. That's not a lot for Newark. Yeah. I don't know what ERG money is available for Irvington, or what other block grant monies you might have, but there's not a lot of money out there. Right, it's not a lot of money out there, and I think that on your side, that's why you need extra staff so you can be more aggressive. At the state, at DCA, EDA, HMFA, because we're doing a lot of affordable housing in Newark, but it's still nominal. It's not anybody's fault, but it's what the system is right now. There's a book that just was done. I bought this. I wanted to talk to you about this, The Color of Law, A Forgotten History of How Our Government Segregated America on the housing side. Right? And, and we're still breaking out of that after 25, 30 years. So you have to understand the history of it before you start developing. And Irvington is primed for some really great downtown, millennial, transportation.
That's where
that's where you're going.
That's where we're moving.
And that's where you should go, right.
We're working on the neighborhoods, but the real focus is going to be on the business corridors, because that's going to bring people.
I mean, look at what
that's going to create jobs, too.
Look at what they're doing right up the street in Maplewood.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So connecting what you're talking about, doing that corridor coming down, that'd be beautiful.
Do you have your master plan yet? Are you going to do a new one?
We're working on the
Good,
master plan.
because you shouldn't do any of that.
My department isn't handling that, but another
There currently is no master plan for
There is one, but we're renewing it.
A master plan is ongoing, But
you got to update it every 5 or 6 years. So we're in the update process.
You have some people that have a master plan and never follows it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's great. You got a master plan, you got a great department, you're thinking future, you're thinking innovation, you're thinking
strategic,
green.
Like right now, the next phase in our foreclosure process has been, because one of the things that we launched initially is foreclosing on properties, because we didn't have a lot of assets. So the whole idea is to get as many assets into the township's coffers so that we can be more strategic and be able to plan redevelopment projects more. When you don't control the actual properties, that makes it very hard to do so. And now we're going to move into the phase of actually focusing on combining all of our strategies, foreclosing on dilapidated properties within the business sector, working with our business improvement districts, and our Chamber of Commerce to improve the aesthetics of our businesses, working with our businesses to grow them, working with businesses outside to move them in, and working with our redevelopers to create to get rid of the holes, the vacant business storefronts, and upstairs vacant properties that we have.
You know what? You're doing
a time focusing on our
good job.
Great job.
Good job. I'm serious. And you're thinking outside the box. That's what I like.
Listen.
And ask for help.
Yes.
That's important.
Ask for help.
Definitely.
Don't fall into the same trap that a lot of municipalities do. That everything becomes political. Ask for help.
Yeah. I think the leadership of our mayor, in terms of how he works, as Chief Gary mentioned, collectively with the other municipalities, makes it easy for us to work with our peers.
You can sit down with your team.
Yes, exactly. So we have relationships with our peers in East Orange and
That's great.
Hillside, Newark, where we can actually share information and coordinate with ease, because it's easy when your leader has made it easy by having his relationships. So if there's an issue, all you have to do is just let him know, and then the connection would be
he's
made.
a doer.
Yeah, he's definitely
a doer. Absolutely. I mean, I don't know him. Maybe he's a doer, but everything I've heard about him, I probably met him one time, but he's a doer. I mean, I could tell by the quality of his staff or his team. I like to call his team, that he has the capacity to think outside the box, and he cares about Irvington, obviously.
Yes.
You could tell he cares, and he wants to see Irvington, move beyond the narrative, of the city that's, mistake by Newark, and he's changed that.
Oh yeah, I think
he's changed that. I like that.
Because Irvington is not designed to be an urban town.
Right.
Irvington residential. Pretty much is a very residential.
Right. It's
a hybrid between a suburban and an urban town. It's not supposed to be a fully urban town. That's why it doesn't have the tax base to support a very cost-laden urban infrastructure.
If you fix your schools in Irvington, really focus and connect that to all of the other things you're doing to drive your local economy, you'll be a national model. You have to fix that, and you have to drive your small business development to be able to produce the value that you want to produce. And if you get that buy-in, listen, it's great to have little small towns like that. You can do it in
Absolutely.
there. Yeah, I like that. But you need some more marketing for your city. Your city's doing too much work for that stuff not to be out on the street.
Well, we'll work on getting that done. Well, what we're going to do next?
I thought I said he should be the mayor of the year. He should really be the mayor of the year.
Yes. Well, we have a couple more, I think, Irvington folks who are going to be coming in. But then I
don't want to see any more Irvington.
Then I'm going to get the mayor in here, and I'm going to talk. What we're going to do is once we get this.
Yeah, that's good.
Then we're going to get the mayor in, and we're going to wrap it all up, and then we're have a nice little bow and talk to him about this whole marketing thing that I think we need to.
Look, for the tax base of Essex County, it's important for those towns to do well.
I agree.
It's important.
Well, listen, we'll be right back after this break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Plus Radio 94.3 Queensland Crunches the warrior. Hey, I ain't never seen this before. Never see so many people beat on the fancy coming. Splash Radio playing on the scene. Splash Radio confidence of the singing. How do you mean? Boom. Splash Radio Queensland Crunch and keep it clean.
So this is Eric Dawson. This is the Eric Dawson Radio Show, 94.3 FM. Had great guests on today. Hope you guys got some insight on what's going on in Irvington. But I want you guys to know, we reached out to other municipalities to try to get other folks on, and we haven't been successful. But we would love to have, folks come on from, from different municipalities, from different municipalities that come on and share with us what they're doing. The doors are always open. The lines are always open. We're on from 10 to 12 every day, Monday through Friday. And I think it's important. I know that we get phone calls and I get inboxes whenever we have folks on from Irvington, and a lot of the residents didn't know what was going on, and then and all of a sudden they find out that all of these great things are going on, that people are working hard, and then they get to weigh in the thread as well. Talking about things that they could have done or should be doing better in at least in the eyes of some of the residents. So what I would say to you guys who listen to the show, again, I want you to know that we've reached out to other municipalities. We haven't gotten those folks on, but if you think it's important to have those local politicians who represent you come on the show, then you should you should pressure them to see if they can come on.
Well, yeah, that was great. Listen, I mean, they were very good. I enjoyed it. And this videographer, this young lady lives in the Century Ward, and I'm going to walk her out now. So give me 1 second.
No, you go ahead and do that, man. And so while he does that, we're going to get back into. There are a whole lot of things that I want to talk about once Kevin is back. One of the things that and maybe I'll do this while he's not here, is this. You know what I want to do? I want to tell you guys firstly. Tomorrow is election day. Tomorrow is election day. It is a very important election too. We'll be electing a new governor after dealing with 8 years of Chris Christie. This state will be able to usher in a new governor. And in particular, I'm always speaking about, I have to tell Kevin to keep it down. But after 8 years, we finally have an opportunity to have change. We've complained, we've bitched and moaned for 8 years about the conditions of our communities. And the question that I want to ask you guys is, as you get ready to go to the polls, are you certain that the person that you're going to vote for has a plan that's going to improve the current conditions of our community? And if you don't, shame on you. Because now's the chance. For 8 years, you've complained about it. 8 long years, folks complained about it. And now there's an opportunity to change. And if you have not done the work, put together some sort of what would I call it? A demand, I guess is what I would call it, that says you don't get my vote unless you're prepared to do this thing. If you've not done that work, then I can almost assure you that it won't get done. That's right, man. So I was just, while you were gone, just reminding people that tomorrow's election day.
Oh, yeah, election day. Well, that's going to be pretty interesting.
And so part of the thing that I'm concerned about, Kev, is that folks aren't prepared for election day. That they haven't prepared themselves in terms of the list of demands for the people that they're going to vote for.
Hey, I don't even want to go there.
It's hard, right?
What do you say about that? I mean, we've had these.
Well, for 8 years, people have been bitching about Christie, right? That's a use of Christie. All of the jokes about his weight and the this and the that, and so now here's an opportunity, because he's going to be gone, to have somebody in who's going to do what you want done. But do you know what it is?
Well, I think everybody takes risk when, listen, campaigns are beauty contests. They're built on themes. They're built on your record, and that doesn't suggest that you always win when you have a good record. Sometimes you can have an electorate that's in complete denial, or an electorate that really is not plugged into what's happening in their city or their state. But the state of government, the state of our government at the state level is in jeopardy. I mean, we got problems. I mean, on the pension side, on the leadership side, on the tax side, we might not be able to fund our pension program. We might have to raise taxes. I mean,
but which of these gubernatorial? So you have some gubernatorial candidates who said they're not going to raise taxes at all.
Oh, well, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Some who said they're going to lower taxes.
Well, that's crazy.
So they're not going to raise them. Some say they're going to actually lower them.
Well, I don't know how they're going to do that. I'm not, an economist, but I have a basic sense of what an economist should be looking at. Listen, our bond rating in the state of New Jersey has been lowered like 5 times. Mm-hmm. So that means whatever money we're borrowing it, quadruple interest rates.
So tomorrow, when the polls open at 6:00, what are people going to actually be voting for? Like, seriously.
They're going to be voting for either you're a Democrat or Republican.
That's a shame.
That's it.
And that's a shame. Now, did you read the article in NJ.com that talked about all the money that's been spent and the fact that still the front runners are having a challenge getting name ID?
I think the country is battle fatigued.
After Trump and...
Well, I just think it's been going on for some years now. They're battle fatigued. This partisan, these continued partisan fights between the Democrats and Republicans. This whole narrative about the middle America not being embraced by the cultural elite and New York elite. It's all a distortion because the people in the middle are the ones that are suffering. The poor people in this country are suffering, right? So... but the issue for me is to pit a poor person in Arkansas against a poor person in Newark. It's ridiculous. But the Arkansas poor person thinks the poor people in Newark are living better than them.
Living higher on the hog, right?
So it's all based on race. It's all based on class. It's all based on a level of, political ignorance, right? I mean, some of the things that I hear middle America saying about Trump and saying they really don't care what he does because he cares about us and not realizing those jobs will never come back to those towns. I mean, the mere fact that this guy goes to Europe and just destroys our relationships with NATO and then talks about taking us out of a non-binding, resolution that had all of the world working together to reduce greenhouse emissions, right? Or create a new green economy. I mean, and then suggest that it's against America, is against America's best interest, right? Then to go and create, this long loving relationship with Russia that has now undermined our democracy, well, the assumption of a democracy in this country, right? And for people still in this country to still have, food insecurities, still have not a sense of if they're going to be able to collect their pensions, still have segregation in our public schools, still has segregation in housing. We're still murdering black men all over this country. We still have corrupt police departments. But then what you do is you go put an AG in, right? That's a cold-blooded racist, right? You put the head of EPA, right? That comes from the dirty side of the environment issue. And what is he going to do? He's going to deregulate everything that Obama did to safeguard it and create jobs. They're just going to get rid of it, and then forget about the health care part of the discussion. So I mean, and all of these different groups that are tugging back and forth. If they don't get their act together and see that, we have one enemy, we all have one enemy. And that's that illiberalism that we talked about, this nationalistic approach that they're taking. We have a guy inside the White House named Bannon, right, that his business model was to create fake news, to create this nationalistic theme and take the poorest and the most ignorant people to use it to drive it. And now he has a president to help him. That's deep. So that's the negative side of the European, narrative that came out of the Nazi Germany, that came out of the fascist Italy. So we've seen this before. And it's happening right before our eyes. So they'll take a comedian. What's the comedian's name with the head in her hand?
Oh, Kathy Griffith.
And they'll rake her over the coals, right?
You don't think she should have been?
No, wait. I think she should have been, and her apology should have been just enough. Now, I believe she did. I think her apology should have been enough.
So you apologize, but it doesn't.
She apologized for
it. Right. But her apology simply means that what she did, she's sorry for.
Well, what's the only thing she could atone for?
We're not obligated to accept the apology.
Well, no, you're not obligated, but there are some people that should. Listen.
Listen,
if you do something wrong,
right,
and I don't have to accept your apology, but for the mere fact that you atone for what you did wrong, right, your atonement, right, Well, that should be good enough.
What was her tone?
Well, she apologized. She said, listen, I apologize. But look at all of the other issues that are going on. We're spending time talking about her miscalculation of her humor, right?
Right, and I think that's all it really was.
That's all it was. And we're talking about that as opposed to talking about, Comey that's going to go and to testify in front of the House and tell everything that he knows about the Russian narrative, that the Kushner family has been going all around the world meeting with private banks, right, negotiating to get their family out of debt because they've done some real estate transactions are inappropriate.
You think that's what he's going to
do? Oh, absolutely. He's going to, absolutely.
I don't think he's going to say that.
Comey, whatever Comey says, is going to clearly define that the investigation is going to be expanding.
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Oh, so you think he's just going to come and give an OPEC synopsis?
That's exactly what I think. and I think the liberal media is going to start pulling their hair out because he's going to suck all the oxygen out of this thing. I'm telling you.
Get out of here. Listen, Eric. Eric. I get maybe a part of what you're saying is true because he has to be careful because there's an ongoing investigation.
And then what's
they're going to ask a question. They're going to ask one question, right? I believe anyway. I don't know. They're going to ask one question, and the one question is: did this president try to influence the investigation? That man is going to say yes. Comey's going to say yes. If you go back when he was with Bush 2, and if you go back and follow him every time he testified, right or wrong, if we like him or not,
well, they're going to ask him.
He always left something on the table for you to use.
But they're going to have to ask him, in your opinion, based on the statement that he made, or it really was a statement, right? Or did he? Was it a question? Did he ask him to lay off? He asked him to lay off of.
Am I under? That's a specific.
No, he asked him if he was under investigation, but then beyond that, he asked him to kind of ease the pressure on.
But getting back to the electorate and what they value and how they see this governor's election, I don't think the people in and around the state have bought in yet. I don't think they're paying attention to this particular election at all. I think the turnout, in the Record, there was a great article, opinion page about what's going to be discussed after this. After the primary, and they were saying this is going to be a record low turnout for a number of reasons, and I think that's not something that we should be happy about. But I think that the electorate is just not excited because nobody really is saying, I don't believe to them yet, what are you going to do for me? Like, what are you going to do for my food insecurities? What are you going to do to make me feel safe? Not declarations, but really specifically, what are you going to do to deregulate or to
But do you think that, wait a minute, hold on. So do you, because to me, the primary is where that should happen. Because I think that what happens in the general election is everybody puts on their red shirt or their blue shirt.
Well, this is another thing.
Right? If you win the primary, if you're a Democrat, then you essentially line your base up, your Democratic base, for the general election.
The thing that we're suffering, I looked at the Bergen Record, I don't know, I think they just call it the Record now. I looked at their coverage of the election, and then I looked at the Star Ledger's coverage of the election, and it was night and day. It was night and day.
Well, look at the audiences.
Well, no, I mean, all of it's New Jersey, but the Record's coverage is still in the vein of they're attempting to stay relevant, just like the New York Times, Washington Post. We don't have the same media coverage we used to have. A lot of these elected officials are getting away with murder because we don't have that kind of media coverage. If you didn't have this show to talk about issues, right? There are not a lot of shows, or there's not a lot of print that's talking or doing any investigative reporting. So I'm thinking because of what's happening with Trump, that the Star Ledger, the Newhouse family, will get together and say, hey, look, we have an opportunity to create a more robust program now to do investigative reporting and do these things. Because some of the stuff that I'm seeing that they're writing about in NewJersey.com or the Star Ledger, and I think they still have some remnants of some investigative reporters there. I mean, it's just weak. But then when I saw the record this weekend, I was, I used to buy it all the time, but Gail brought it this weekend for me to read, and I read, the editorial. It was pretty solid. What they thought was going to happen. Here are some of the issues. Here are some of the things that are not being said. So I've been seeing a lot of the advertising that's going on TV with it's been pretty hard hitting. Now here's the issue. You do all this hard hitting down in the Democratic primary, you got to know the Republicans are going to go back and dig
both
deeper.
are taking notes.
Yeah,
both taking notes.
Yeah, so it's going to be pretty interesting, right? But we don't have the media.
But here's the
coverage
thing.
that we used to have.
So when we have people like the folks we have from Irvington come in today and who've been in the past and talk about how they're trying to improve that township. Right, it's important for you guys to understand that part of them improving the township requires cooperation and relationships with folks down in Trenton.
Well, you can't listen. You're going to have a new governor. I mean, you're going to have a new governor. But the new governor, whoever that is, we have to give full disclosure. I'm supporting Phil Murphy, but I'm going to be expecting my governor that I'm supporting, right, to not get caught up in.
Do you mind me asking why you're supporting Phil?
Because I think that he's. I'm going to tell you exactly why. I believe that at the end of the day, he will listen to what's happening in these urban cities, right, and work with us to be able to create some small changes. I think that we need short term. Now, I'm talking. That's real business for me, And if it was Chris Christie, if anybody that was going to do that, I would support them. I'm not wedded to parties, I became a Democrat because that party that I once was a part of for so many years has become a party of white rich men that are just evil. But then, in the party that I just joined, we have a lot of white rich men selling us bull crap. Right. But at the local level, we have a lot of leaders that I'm going to start holding responsible as a Democrat and say, you're not doing your job. Right, so you go where you think you can have the most impact.
Oh, absolutely.
So in getting back to Murphy, I think that Murphy, because he's an outsider, because he has some sense of business, he has some acumen that I think that I could relate to. I'm supporting him for that.
So do you mind if I open the lines up? If anybody wants to call, we'll continue our conversation. But if anybody wants to call and weigh in on who you may want to support, and what your thoughts are.
But I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that question.
973-457-8000.
Because that's an important question for me, right? If this person that I'm supporting doesn't do the job that I think he should be doing for my community, right? I'm going to put him I'm going to put him on a hot seat. I'm going to put him on a hot seat. I'm not of that opinion that, because you are of my party or we might have a relationship that, I'm supposed to just stand by the sideline and let you, make decisions that I know that are not going to be appropriate for my children's future. You can't declare, you know how I feel about declarations. Right. That just pisses me off. But at the end of the day, he's going to have to roll up his sleeves because he's going to have some real talent. And that's the first thing I'm going to be looking at. Who is he going to be picking to help him to run this state? If it's the same usual suspects, well, we know we failed right away. We failed right away. So I'm going to be looking at that. I hold Gail to the same standard. That's one of the things that we have going on in our household. We don't suffer fools. I might support you. You might do something. I'm like, hey, look, that's not working for us. So we'll see. So right now, I'm supporting Phil Murphy. You always have to give full disclosure so you can demonstrate some integrity. And I'm prayerful that in working with him and linking with him, that he's going to be listening to the things that are very critical for the survival of our city. It's just not building shiny buildings. It's about empowering people. Right? It's just not saying the word empowering people. It's about being innovative enough and using all of the power that you have to be able to correct some of the things that we have to correct immediately in our city based on affordable housing, based on crime. It's not about just standing up and saying, I'm going to give the city $450 million to mismanage.
You mind pushing that button?
Yes, sir.
Hello, caller.
Good morning, Eric and Kevin. This is Farrakhan.
Good morning. Hey, Farrakhan. How you doing?
I'm all right. Kevin, I just got one question for you.
Yes, sir.
If what you just said was that you're going to be looking to see what your candidate, who your candidate is bringing in, as the people to surround him, and see if they're different, and if they're not different, then put them on blast, then I'm asking, well, what has Phil Murphy done so far that's different than any other Democratic or Republican candidate that would even lead you to think that he would bring in different people?
Well, listen, I got to tell you something. That's a very good question, Farrakhan. And, when you run in a campaign, it's all built on themes and what you think could possibly happen for the state and what you're selling. You're marketing yourself. You're spending money. You're hiring people. I'm not suggesting, I just want to say this for the record, I'm not suggesting that some of the people that he hired are doing anything. I think I think you might be going there with that. But we have to give him an opportunity, if he's elected, to see if he will be different. Right? And so to answer your first part of the question, I think some of the personnel, it's questionable. But if he wins, let's hope that he'll be sitting down and dialoguing with people that understand what needs to be done to move these cities forward. And I got to tell you, one of the first tests that I'm going to be looking at is if he gives the public schools back to the city of Newark under the present condition that they're in now.
Man,
that's number one. Number two, I will be looking at if he's going to raise taxes immediately, because in the situation that the state of New Jersey is right now, right, I would want him to say earlier on that we need to raise taxes, right? So you can't sugarcane that stuff. You got to really get down to get to the infrastructure issues that are
raise
impacting.
Taxes and hold back local control.
And right, and then the other thing that I would be looking at is not just a robust program based on using the word innovation, not just a robust program saying that we're going to create jobs, but to really create a transportation building program that takes our minority kids off the street and push them into these unions that are really doing all the work. We're not getting any work on any of the stuff that people are talking about because the unions control it. So when people say we're going to have this robust transportation program, well, black kids are not going to be involved in that.
You're so dead right.
So I'll say what you, Farrakhan.
Right there.
I'm sorry, Farrakhan. I apologize. Go ahead, buddy.
No. I just want to say you're so dead right, especially with that union part. Just a few minutes ago, this morning, I drove. I was coming up Sussex Avenue, and they're building the vocational school right there, and they're building a sheriff's right there, like where West Market and Sussex Avenue is.
Yeah.
They're building the new Votech, right. And at that morning time, I might have saw maybe about 15, 20, people that were working, and only one brother that I can honestly say was absolutely black.
So
and it's like, this is a county project, and it has virtually no black workers that you can see. Now, there might be some light-skinned guys that I missed, but if you're talking a brown-skinned black man, I saw 1 out of 20.
Well, Farrakhan, do you mind me asking, you can say no, but if you're voting in a primary, who you're leaning toward?
Johnson.
Yeah. Well,
okay. And do you mind me asking why?
You already know what I'm going to say. Right now, I'm just going that route, as a black man to a black man. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. I've listened to everybody's politics so far, and none of them convinced me that they're going to do, I don't want to say a magical job, but a reasonable job that's going to change the predicament that I'm in, or that the people like myself are in.
All right, thanks for the call.
Farrakhan, good question, though. I hope I answered it honestly for you. Of course, I hope I did, yeah. But, okay.
Caller number 973-457-8000 if you want to weigh in. Tomorrow's election day.
Well, that's a good question. Listen, that's a good question. Look, one of the things I like about Farrakhan, when he calls in, he has he's asking very important questions, and I like when he does that because it gets us thinking and it adds to the debate. And and like he said, he's voting for Johnson because he's African American. Well, that's fine. That's good. That's fine. And he's very competent African American. He has a great pedigree. I mean, he's strong in his community, and he's built a reputation of getting things done. But so we can't disqualify him, But so if Farrakhan is voting for him, we're like, hey, God bless him.
Well, you know what? I think that people should come out and vote.
Well, yeah. Well,
but at the end of the day, I think that without having a plan for your community, right, and having demonstrated that you have properly expressed that plan for your community, I'm concerned that the vote just kind of, it's a vote, but
well, that's what it's going to be. So you might as well it's going to be that way. Look, we're not vested, we're not vested in the political process in our communities. We're not vested, but we're looking for huge returns. We don't even question our electeds about what they're doing for us. It's all based on some limited personality, blah, 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 blah. If you like this person. I would like I always ask the citizens at home, just pick up the phone and call your...
and they won't do it.
Well, first of all, you got to ask the right question, too. It's like, what are you doing for me? What are you doing to advance my life and my children's life? What are you doing for your community? Not declarations, but what are you doing? Because we know when you say that you're creating 55,000 jobs, I'm not saying anybody does that, but that's not true.
Right.
Right? Gina sat here and said, I got to take the micro approach first before I get to the macro. Mm-hmm. And because of what I know about the macro.
I appreciated that, too.
I did, too.
That she didn't say, when I asked, how many jobs have you created?
Right. And I loved the fire chief, what he said. Well, he said, listen, we're working on that, but to address the issue of recruitment, we're going to go into the high schools. That's real micro, real small, real, one day at a time.
And so here's the thing.
And that's a plan. And then
it is a plan. But then the governor, we need to build on the plan, right? So when Gina says what she says, and when the fire chief says what he says, when you have a governor who comes into your community and says, I want your vote, then you can say, well, look, here's what leadership in my community is doing to make my community better. Talk to me specifically about how you're going to work with them to help the situation. But but not to be involved at the local level. How do you even know the questions to ask the gubernatorial candidate when they come? You don't know what these various departments, or in some cases what your elected officials are working with. So how do you know what to ask for, what to demand on the state stage?
Well, listen, but if there's appropriate coordination, I don't know what the state is. I don't know what the state legislators are doing anymore, because they go into caucus, and if the caucus say kill all black people, they probably have to fight, but some of them might vote because they're in caucus. I don't understand what the state legislators are doing anymore. They used to play a pivotal role in the success of cities. I just don't know what they do. I see what the Irvington Township is doing with their council and their mayor, their police department, their fire department, their economic development department, their workforce department, small business. I see that because in a micro level, I could measure that, right? I could measure that. And it's kind of tough to measure in other cities, but it's good to know that in Irvington, they're thinking way beyond where they are, and they're addressing some of the issues that have impacted them for the last 25, 30 years. So that's a great thing. So it's getting a constituent engaged is a pretty tough thing, because we have so much competition now, we have so many different issues now, but as an elected official, it is your responsibility to engage them. It is your responsibility to talk to them and to give them a platform to have a conversation with you about things that are impacting them.
So Kev, how many people should simply be thinking about the fact that we have a presidential election coming up in 2020, and that these states need to start organizing, right? The Democratic Party needs to organize at the state and in local level, and that simply for the sake of making sure that things are shored up in 2020, a vote for the Democratic candidate who is best suited to beat the Republican candidate. I mean, should it just be there?
Say it again.
So, at the national level, there's this whole conversation. Howard Dean was on. Did you see him this weekend? Right. Yeah. So he's saying that what we need to do. He said that the Democratic Party needs to speak more to the African American and Hispanic community. So my question to you is this: should we, as the Democratic Party is working to build, should the objective for those folks who are anti-Trump simply be to make sure that we have a governor who is suited to help organize the state 4 years from now?
Listen, I think this governor, when this governor is elected, I think he needs to be focused on repairing the state and working with the city, the administrators of the city, to come up with a strategy that's going to have a positive impact, high impact on their local issues. If it's affordable housing, if it's education, real tangible, not currying favor and doling out things that you can't afford, and expanding the dollar contribution without understanding how it's going to have a broader impact on affordable housing, and looking at the affordable housing strategy and seeing if we're doing it the right way. Because affordable housing, and then you got housing for the poor. See, we want to dress it up. We're not building enough housing for the poor. Right, we're not modeling that the right way. And who is a part of that poor ecosystem? Millennials, they can't find jobs. Professionals that have been out of work for the last 4 and 5 years. So when you use the word affordable housing, majority of the people on affordable housing that we're building don't qualify. If they have a difference of an income by $50, $100, they can't get in those apartments, and then we're not building enough. Now, that's not one person's fault. It's just what the system is. So we have to look at the whole system and see how we can better make it work for the poor. The poor needs us, right? They need us to address those issues, not from a political perspective, but from a perspective of getting something done to impact their quality of life. So now on the operational side for the Democratic Party,
keep talking.
Yes,
keep them on hold.
For the operational side, there is no the Democratic Party has no operation. That's why Hillary lost twice. That's why Obama, well, I shouldn't say Hillary lost twice, but if you listen to what Hillary is saying, and if you listen to what Dean is saying, and if you followed this last election, the Democratic Party was in disarray. They had no money. They were depopulated. The Obama part of the organization built a new ecosystem out there that did not translate at the local level. That's why we didn't see stuff on the street. That's why we didn't have mayors around the county involved. And it's happening in this election. It's happening in this election. The Democratic Party doesn't exist from an operational perspective. It's all fluff.
Well, all right, caller, please call back, 973-457.
It's all fluff. It's all fluff, and the Democratic Party is broken. Now here's the messaging you get out of from Washington. Well, we have to talk to those people in Middle America. Well, no, just talk to people. Everybody's got those problems. Industries have left cities. There's no new opportunity to create sustainable jobs. But then you go and you reverse yourself on the Paris Accord, which would have allowed you to create an enormous amount of green jobs. I mean, with an emerging economy, with an emerging market like greenhouse sustainability or whatever, right? So we got away from that. So, on the policing side, instead of moving forward with some of Obama's, issues dealing with the judicial system, they're going back to Jim Crow days.
Well,
I mean, those are the things that, that are serious issues. But our white counterparts in Middle America, they're buying a lie. But our counterparts in the cities are buying a lie too. Because they're buying these big themes in other cities around the state, and they're like, oh, we got to do better for our people. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do this. But then when you really ask the people what you're really doing, they can't tell you anything.
No, I'm just concerned.
So it's kind of complex, right?
No, it is complex, man. And like I said, I'm very, very concerned with the complexity of it, that folks are not focused as they should be on this election that's coming up.
You say that all the time, though.
But I am, man. I am. And it really is that simple for me.
But it's up to us who get. Look, we're political people and we're business people. And we have interests all over the place. I mean, I always tell people, I work with people that are interested in my interest. Like, I vote for people that are focused on my interests. If you're not focused on my interest, I'm not voting for you, right? So,
and the same thing with me.
And I think that, if people in our community start to understand that I'm voting for this guy because, he's interested in what I'm interested in, or lady, I should say, that's fine.
But here's the thing. People want you to vote for the guy because he's interested in what they're interested in.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
right.
But the political elite.
No. I'm not talking about the political elite. I'm talking about the politically lazy. That's who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the political elite. I'm talking about the political lazy who doesn't want to organize and mobilize, right? They don't want to do anything, but then they want to question why you would vote for a guy. And then when you look and say, well, because he satisfies my interest. He's aligned with my interest. I see how I could personally benefit from that. And say, well, but wait a minute. But what about these things? But those things are not your interest. But when they start raising those questions, those are things that are that interest these people. But those people haven't done the work in organizing and mobilizing folks in a way that they have a constituency, or not a constituency, but they have a large enough swath of the electorate that can actually move the chain. And so then they become resentful of you. Because you've organized your own thoughts and you've decided, you know what, this is the direction I want to go.
Yeah, I can see a lot.
So not the politically elite, the politically lazy, man.
Well, you talk about it too. Well, I think that the political elite. I shouldn't even forget the word elite because I don't see them around here that much. But the Democratic Party needs a flushing at the state level. I mean, they really do. It's in bad shape. And they need to make room for new dynamic leaders that are not party-driven but people-driven, that are focused on how to create opportunity for people that... Because the more opportunity you create in your community, the better it is for you as elected official. You know, I mean, it's just a hot mess, man. I see some of the stuff that's going. It's just a hot mess, man. I don't know how these people get up in the morning and go push a lever for anybody. I mean, you sit down and talk to an average person, man, that's going through something, you know, and they're not plugged into the matrix at all on this stuff, man. It's just,
but I mean, and if you talk, it speaks to why you said the voter turnout's going to be so low.
Oh, it's going to be horrible. But then if you look at some of the stuff that I've been reading online, because that's our only, I read so much stuff. I can't even contain half of the stuff I read. But at the end of the day, if we look at just at the local level, some of the decisions that I've been seeing for the last couple of months, man, have been horrible. I mean, but that's up to the people to deal with that, you know. I mean, they have to deal with that. So, but it's just bad.
But it's the same thing. If they're not, so my concern is if they're not dealing with it on a local level where it has an immediate impact on their lives, right? This notion that and so here's the other thing that frustrates me, right? So they don't deal with the local politician that has an immediate impact on their lives. And so we see that play itself out on the state stage where there's going to be a low voter turnout. But then there's all of this lip service being paid to what's happening on a national level. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So folks are not dealing with what they can, you know, really change on a local level. They become apathetic on a state level, and then they offer a tremendous amount of lip service on a national level where they really have no opportunity to affect change.
Yeah, that's true. I think that people don't understand all politics is local. Everything you do in your life is all about your local politics. I just think that the dumbing down of our government class is just destroying any opportunity for us to move beyond where we are, and we just have to be honest about that. And, you know, you're going to have several elections coming up. We just left 2 school board elections that frighten me, you know, and then we're getting ready to move into this gubernatorial election. Let's hope and pray that, you know, people are, you know, they find it important to pick a governor that might be open to listening to them, and that's not going to be just currying political favor because it looks attractive, because it's going to have a negative impact on them when they do that. It's going to have a negative impact. Anybody that becomes governor and they go back as business as usual.
But I got to ask you this question, with we may not have a lot of time, but when we say business as usual, a lot of the folks who are part of the Democratic Party, especially here in Essex County, they're still there.
What Democratic Party?
Fair enough.
Okay. What Democratic Party are you talking about?
Well, but the folks who are at the table.
What table are they at?
Oh, they're at a table, man. They're cutting deals.
What deals are they cutting?
I don't know, but they're cutting deals.
Well, I disagree with you. There's no one cutting any deals. There's no one at the table. There's a campaign going on right now.
No. I'm not talking about his campaign.
No. I'm talking about there's no one at the table. I'm telling you. There's no one at the table anywhere.
Wow.
Breaks your heart, huh?
It does break my heart. That's scary,
So anybody that's
it's just empty.
It's just empty.
Wow.
Look, they're making decisions around Newark, around East Orange, just not Newark. I mean, no one is at the table. No one. Because there's no relationships, right, that link us together to have one voice to be able to lead into a discussion that has a positive impact on your daily life, because they're all bought and sold. They can't make a decision. They can't. It takes a lot of lift to lead people and bring
So then
that
my
together.
thing is this. We're running out of time. But if for all of those people who are bought and sold, right, if Phil Murphy becomes the governor, literally, he has to deconstruct that entire thing.
Well, it was deconstructed by Corzine. He destroyed it. He helped to destroy the political apparatus of the state. Right? He helped destroy it, and all of the Democrats bought into it. So you don't have strong Democratic local leaders anymore that control their base. It's very small. You might have some in Hudson County.
Well, listen, man, we're going to have to continue this tonight.
Yeah,
I don't know what your plan is tomorrow, man, but if you can
Well, listen,
call
man, this
in-
is the first day I was allowed out of the house. So I'm going to...
Because tomorrow's election day.
Right.
You know, and I know that we talk about education, so we're
I
going
don't
to talk about education.
Yeah, we'll do that.
But then tomorrow's election day.
Let me know.
All right.
I've not
This is
word
Eric.
It's Kevin.
And we're out.
This has been the Eric Dawson Radio Show.
It's not just about Eric's opinion. It's about understanding what's really going on.
Tune in Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock a.m.
Just continuing to talk about what elected leadership isn't doing without talking about the people who elected the elected leadership and what they're not doing to hold them accountable and or replace them. I think that I'd be doing the first
right here on 94.3 Radio.
Yes, y'all. Hey, you don't stop. Soca, hip hop and R&B, African, disco, oldies but goodies.
Hi, this is Janet Jackson.
We're bridging the gap. Seriously.